Is your child defiant, independent, annoyingly inquisitive? After a long, hard day of following the rules, who wants to deal with troublesome kids? 49% of children suffer from oppositional defiant disorder, or ODD. Symptoms of ODD include independent thought, rampant creativity, and failure to submit to authority. But now there's a solution. The good people at Pilfer can help you with their time-release, once-daily capsule, Complyacin. Your child won't be able to form his own opinions, let alone express them. It maintains your child's ability to go to a state-run school and perform simple tasks around the house. You won't have to worry about parenting, and the school won't have to deal with your kid asking questions. Complyacin. You'll go from this.
Quit telling me what to do! Quit telling me what to do! Quit telling me what to do!
To this.
Good morning, Mother. I love going to school. And this week we're learning all about how the government is our federal family and they're here to help us.
Complyacin. Talk to your school psychiatrist and ask for it by name.
Dead blood in the streets, it's up to my ankles. Sheet blood in the streets, it's up to my knees. Sheet blood in the street, the town of Chicago. Sheet blood on the rise, it's following me.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Abolitionist Abstractions. As always, we are covered by a BitCot no government license. This allows reuse by anyone except governments and the agents thereof. You can find out more information about this at bipcot.org. Alright, so I am back, and it's just me again this week, and also bringing this one to you a little bit late. Normally I try to put these out on Thursdays or Fridays. It's Tuesday, and I'm finally getting around to recording this, but, well, it's been kind of busy for me since the last time I talked to y'all. If you have not been following my vlogs and whatnot on Steemit, then you're probably not aware of what's been going on. But yeah, it's been pretty crazy. So since the last episode where I did my rant against that murderer, Daniel Pantaleo, and the NYPD and, well, cockroaches in general, yeah, I've been pretty busy. I went to my next court date, which unfortunately was not the beginning of my trial as it was supposed to be. Since this thing has been dragged out now for, we're almost at 16 months, my lawyer finally had a conflict, a scheduling conflict, and was forced to call for an adjournment. Now, I had a couple of people ask me, well, didn't he know that he was going to have a conflict? Why did you have to show up at all? Well, number one, I have to show up for all these appearances unless I'm instructed not to by a judge. Paying your lawyer to go show up for you is not how it works in New York, unfortunately. And number two, he was trying really hard to try to press the DA into finally accepting a deal more to our liking, just to, try to save me money, actually. That's the way he keeps putting it to me. He's perfectly willing to go forward with trial, but, he's trying to be nice to me and try to save me the extra payment I would have to give him once we get to trial. But he tried and tried and tried, and once again, the new DA, I think we're up to number 4, I think I said, they kept dragging their feet and didn't really give him an answer until the last minute. So we tried, and unfortunately, like I said, he had to step out of town for a little while. And he even told me, because I said, aren't these trials, stuff like mine, usually only supposed to be like a 2 or 3 day trial? And he said, yes. Unfortunately, the way your case has gone, we have no guarantees. So even if we had started on that on last Monday like we were supposed to, there was no guarantee that we were going to be done before Friday when he had to go out of town. So because of that, he had to ask for more time. So now the new date is August 13th. And that just means a couple more weeks that I have to wait. And that would have been, bad enough. But then, while I was waiting for the next trial to come up, I had another run-in with the extortionists in Nassau County as I came out of my morning shower at the local Planet Fitness one day. Had only been in there for like 12 to 15 minutes tops. Come out to find a boot on my vehicle because apparently Nassau County has now started to implement those license plate readers and are trying to harass people over failure to pay red light camera tickets. Which, of course, these cameras have been found unconstitutional, for whatever that means, in a number of states across the country. And when I tried to point this out to the people at the court, of course, they told me, well, it hasn't been ruled unconstitutional here, so that means that it isn't. Just the stupid status logic. So I came to find that on my car, which obviously pissed me off a bit. It was raining that day. And the car had been running and Murder Dog was in the car at the time. She obviously, I've joked before, she's a horrible guard dog. She obviously didn't do much to stop these people. But yeah, so yeah, they tried to boot my house and tried to keep me locked down in one location. And when I called to find out what the extortionists were after, they wanted an exorbitant amount of money for some ridiculous tickets from years ago. Because, of course, they add penalties and surcharges on top of that. And since I had just spent well over $1,000 just to clear my license in the first place a month or so ago from all those suspensions I had in the past that I hadn't even been aware of, I was not about to fork over even more money to the county. And as I've talked about before, I've been having a harder and harder time justifying giving the county any money because of what they've put me through over the past 15, 16 months. So I got to work on figuring out a way around this. And, I've seen enough of these videos where people just some people are stupid enough and try to drive off with these things. I mean, occasionally you'll get lucky and you'll have a weak unit that'll snap as you drive away. Most of the time you'll just destroy your tire and rim. So I took out my jack and took the tire off with the boot on it and put my spare on, and then went about figuring out how I was going to get myself out of that. Eventually, I figured a way to get the boot off. It cost me a hell of a lot less than the county wanted, and I even brought that back their property. Now, of course, they were a little upset because I didn't give them their money, and they refused to give me a receipt for me returning their property. But me bringing their property back is all on camera because I know they record all that stuff in the different government buildings, and it's clearly there. I don't have it. And they let me walk out. They told me, well, you're still going to owe the X amount of dollars. And I said, that's fine. So after all that, I decided that, you know what? It's no longer safe for me on Long Island. And I just need to be out of here altogether. So I let Jen and the kids know that I was going to have to clear out of town and probably stay out until my trial. Luckily, I was able to work things out with Jen, and she was finally able to bring the kids to meet up with me to go camping this past weekend. Another reason why this show is coming to you guys so late. But yeah, I can't be in New York anymore. I mean, I've said it a bunch of times. I feel physically ill when I'm there. The only reason I'm there is to try to see my kids. And unfortunately, because of extenuating circumstances, oftentimes I don't even get to see them when I'm there. So it just made the most sense to me just to clear out and stay out so I don't run the risk of running into the extortionists again. Because as far as I could tell, they can't do anything beyond their county borders for this particular thing, because it's not like I have any points on my license. It's not even, these stupid camera tickets aren't even attached to my license, because I was able to, like I said, when I cleared my license a month or so ago, I checked and asked and made sure there's nothing on my license. Everything's good. Nope, you have a perfectly clean license again. So it's more attached to the registration, and I just don't need to run the risk of going into a store or going to take another shower and coming out and finding another boot on my vehicle. So yeah, that's what I've been up to since then. Like I said, I cleared out of town, and then luckily I was able to meet up with the kids. We had a great weekend of camping. Unfortunately, it didn't last long enough. They were actually asking like an hour within an hour of getting there if we could stay even longer, but between their mom's work and the plans I had coming up after that, wasn't going to work out. But I'm going to try to meet up with them again in a couple of when I return from this trip, because now I am currently making my way across the country, headed out to South Dakota, so I can finally obtain my South Dakota driver's license. That was actually something that was suggested by Jen, who said, you know what, if you have this time to kill before your trial now, probably a good idea to go take care of this now in case something goes horribly wrong with the trial, and at least you'll have that taken care of. So I thought about it, and it made sense. So that's what I've been doing. Like I said, I cleared out of New York. I spent the first night down somewhere in Jersey. The day after that, I was lucky enough to be able to meet up with my former co-host on the Seeds of Liberty and a good friend of mine, Danilo Cuellar. Spent the day with him and his family. which was great. You know, his kids and I went out to local botanical gardens and hung out for the day, and we talked and caught frogs and stuff like that. And then we went back to his house, and his wife prepared a lovely dinner. They had another friend come over with their child, and all the adults just sat around talking and laughing all night, and it was great. And it was actually sad to leave there, but we wanted to get to our next stop because our goal was to get over to Pennsylvania, close to where we were going to be camping with the kids the next day. So we had to part ways there. It was pouring when we left, so that was kind of unfortunate. So the drive was a little dicey on all those back mountain roads coming from Danilo's house. That was kind of interesting getting out of there. And then once we got Murder Dog and I, once we got relatively close to where we were headed, unfortunately, we pulled over at a rest area because we finally got past the storm, so that meant I could let her out so she could go to the bathroom. I could stretch my legs a little bit and record my vlog for the night. And then we got back on the road, and all of a sudden there was an issue with the car where the emission light was on. The car was bucking wildly. It wasn't going above 55 miles an hour. And yeah, that was not pleasant. And I knew from problems in the past it was probably had something to do with one of the O2 sensors or somewhere connected to that. Ended up turning out to be one of the oil sensors, which kind of shut down. And as it was explained to me by the people that I took it to fix it, it's one of those parts that kind of has a shelf life like a light bulb, and you're never going to know when it's going to go out, which is why when I had it in the shop just a few days earlier to have things checked out before my trip, nothing showed up on their radar. But as luck would have it, the town I ended up in to wait out the night, to meet up with the kids the next day, just happened to be about 6 miles from a Honda dealership. So I called them up first thing in the morning, and I wasn't even expecting to get help because I knew it was a Saturday. I knew most Honda dealerships have shorter hours on Saturdays, and they're usually packed because, well, people who work during the week all try to get their vehicles in on the weekend. When I got there, I showed up pretty much right after they opened, and they told me that they were packed. I explained my story, and apparently, my sob story must have struck a nerve somewhere because they managed to squeeze us in. So the people at that Honda dealership down in Scranton, I told them personally that, next time I'm anywhere near that area, if I need any other type of service, even a scheduled one, I'll go out of my way to go to their particular dealership because they were so great about it. Like I said, they fit me in on absolutely no notice, took care of me, even gave me a couple of discounts. So, the price wasn't too bad. Obviously money I would rather not spend, but in order to ensure that the vehicle was in tip-top shape to make the trip out to, the 1,400-mile trip or whatever it is out to South Dakota, had to be done. So those folks were awesome. Murder Dog and I just kind of hung around that town for a while, and we actually found a nice place to sit where there was a shady spot for her, there was a sunny spot for my solar charger, and we just kind of hung out for a couple hours because, well, we had no other place to go, but luckily they were able to fix it, and we got back on the road, and we went up to the area we were going to go camp with the kids and, did a little shopping, picked up some supplies, and got in there, managed to get in a little early before they were supposed to let us in so we could set up stuff. So the tent and pretty much everything else was set up when the girls arrived. And, it was great. I had a great weekend with them. Like I said, wish it had been able to last longer, but we're definitely going to try to do this once I return from my trip to South Dakota. Hopefully before my trial. We'll see. It's going to have to, it's going to be a matter of scheduling and whatnot. But, it's something I've been looking forward to because obviously, as I've talked about, they did not get to come to the Midwest Peace and Liberty Fest with me this year as I was hoping. So, getting a chance to spend a couple of days with them was great. And, I miss them already. But they had things to do. I have things to do. And we will reconnect soon. So, yeah, that's pretty much what I've been up to. And then yesterday, once I parted ways with them, I slowly started making my way out west. And I ended up in Indiana last night, stopped at a Planet Fitness there. And, actually here, I'm still here because it was a nice quiet place. It's actually the second one the Planet Fitness I've stayed in a row, which didn't seem to be too busy. And which was good, and there was actually a cool little parking spot, which was kind of away from everybody. So it was quiet, but I just couldn't sleep. whether it's the stress of everything or just the nerves I'm dealing with, or being slightly uncomfortable. It was pretty cool last night too. I'm not really sure what it is. I kind of thought I would sleep more because I didn't sleep that much while I was camping with my kids, because they like to get up bright and early, and they're also not used to camping too much yet either. They haven't done it for over a year now, and it takes them a little while to get readjusted to stuff like that. So there wasn't much sleep to be had. Kind of figured I would catch up on that last night. Didn't really work out so well. But like I said, because it was quiet here, I was able to, I got my shower when I got in last night because, well, that was the one thing I kind of skipped during the weekend with the kids because, just taking care of the two of them. Didn't really have time to shower, so felt kind of gross. Definitely needed one of those. But because it was so quiet in the morning, I decided to, after letting Murder Dog out and giving her breakfast and stuff, I passed back out for a while. And now that I'm up, I'm recording this. I have a couple more things I want to try to upload and get ready to go before I hit the road again. And my plan is to make it to South Dakota by tomorrow mid-afternoonish, I guess, somewhere around there. I mean, I'm not going to rush. I'm not going to speed over there, but I need to be there by tomorrow afternoon, just to ensure that I get a place for the night where I can get a receipt. And that way the next day I can bring it to the DMV and hopefully finally acquire my South Dakota driver's license. Once I'm done with that, I spoke to the people at the company that I get my mail through now, and I received an email from them telling me that I had new mail, and I figured since I was going to be in the area, I would call and ask if it was possible for me to just stop by rather than just having it forwarded. And they called me back yesterday and said, absolutely, you can swing by and pick up your mail if you're going to be here. So that's going to save me a little bit. I actually have my new phone that I've been waiting on that's there now. So instead of trying to get that forwarded somewhere else and actually go pick it up, I am going to drive right to the office and go pick up my mail directly from them. So that's kind of exciting. Definitely need that. My phone, unfortunately, has seen much better days. And once I'm done with that, I may check out the falls over in Sioux Falls and do a little sightseeing. And then I'm going to slowly make my way back. Unfortunately, I do have, I have a number of people who invited me to come stay with them, including my friend Michael Dean out in Wyoming. And while I would love to go hang out with him for a week, it's going to take me even further away from New York, which, I'd love to be, but I want to get back to my kids. And it's, like I said, it's just going to be a matter of when we can schedule them coming out to see me again. But my plan was to slowly make it back and maybe stop off and see some people along the way, because I do have a number of friends who live between South Dakota and New York on the north side. So we'll see who I can meet up with and possibly get, maybe even get some in-person interviews, because that's something else I've talked about that I was hoping to do now that I'm on the road, was actually going to people and doing shows and interviews with them rather than trying to connect on the internet and stuff like that, where I've been having difficulty lately. So yeah, Murder Dog and I are out and about again, and our adventure continues. As I record today, it's actually 2 months. This marks 2 months that we've been on the road. And there's definitely been some ups and downs, but I still feel more free right now than I did before, despite everything that's happened, even with the horrible extortionists and their boot from last week. I figured out a way around that, and I definitely feel more free again. So, as I've said before, this life is not for everybody, but I would encourage anybody who has the opportunity to take it and just give it a try for a little while, because you'd be surprised how freeing this can really be. But so with that, I think that's about it. Not too long of an episode this week. I thought about possibly going into a rant about certain people and their latest GoFundMe and issues going around on that, but I did the rant last week. I don't really feel like doing another one this week. I figured I would just catch you guys up with what's going on, and like I said, this one's going to come out a little late, but at least there will be an episode. With SOL, there's not even going to be an episode. I had to do an intermission episode this week because unfortunately I cleared out of town on the night that we normally record, but we'll try to bring those back soon too, and keep going with the content. You know, like I said, I know things have been sporadic, and I appreciate everybody who's stuck with us through all this stuff and stuck with me through everything I'm going through. And hopefully really, really soon we will get back on track to start bringing out regular episodes on both shows every week. Start bringing back lots of guests. You know, as I've talked about before, I actually have a number of either phone numbers or contacts I'm supposed to make. You know, of bigger name guests that I just need to find the time, not just the time, but I also have to find the most solid internet connection I can to be able to set those things up. Because I definitely don't want to, book somebody like, say, Scott Horton for an interview and then all of a sudden have internet connection issues and not be able to actually record the show, and then have him tell me that, we'll try to do this again sometime, and then, months go by again before I could finally connect with him. So I am trying to work all that out. I am trying to bring you guys the best possible content I can. So if you continue to bear with me, I really appreciate it. If you decide not to, I understand, but hey, we've pumped out enough content over the years. I figure we deserve a little break every now and then. So anyway, I will with that I'll sign off. So once again, thank you everybody for listening. This has been Abolitionist J. And well, Jesus, I keep confusing my vlogs with my shows at this point, but yeah, that's me. And all my content can still be found at steemit.com/@abolitionistj. Or you might be able to find some of our stuff at solpodcast.org. Apparently there's been some issues I learned with the site recently, with that whole, whatever that stuff out in Europe that was going on with the privacy policies and all that junk. I thought we had actually taken care of that. Paul Gordon thought he was on top of that. Something happened where it didn't update properly, and apparently the shows have not been getting there for some reason. But normally you can find all of our information and my information at solpodcast.org. But like I said, the safest bet is to always go to steemit.com/@abolitionistj, because that's where all the content goes first anyway. So once again, thank you everybody, and I will catch you next time. Love, peace, and voluntary interactions for all.
Indians scattered on dawn's highway bleeding. Ghosts crowd the young child's fragile eggshell mind.
My fellow sheep, election season is upon us. Are you one of the 12% of Americans who still approves of our government? Then we need your help to force the other 88% into compliance. Our democracy depends on it. We're an organization called Citizens Against Too Much Unfettered Freedom, or CATMUF. CATMUF is a bipartisan flock of sheep whose goal is expanding government until nothing else remains, because the government is here to help you. How can you help CATMUF help you? By only voting for candidates dedicated to expanding government. It's easy. You don't need to study the issues. No matter what a politician says when running for office, they're all dedicated to expanding government. And make sure you tell all your friends and family to vote for more government. Here at CATMUF, we don't care if you vote Democrat or Republican, as long as you vote for candidates committed to growing our federal family. CATMUF, because folks just aren't smart enough to handle real freedom.